Right now, though, a Labour town councillor in Dorset has resigned from the party over Labour's position on Israel's bombing of Gaza following the 7th of October Hamas attacks. This is Giovanna Lewis, who will now serve as an independent on Portland Town Council and who's not standing in the upcoming elections. She's told the BBC that she'll lobby the newly selected Labour candidate for South Dorset to publicly back calls to stop the bombing of Palestinian people by Israel. Our political reporter Tristan Pascoe is across this one and joins me now. Tristan, just some background here. Giovanna Lewis is pretty well known, I'd say, for a town councillor.
Indeed, Steve. Good morning. She's been on our breakfast programme with you in the past. She was a Labour councillor at Portland Town Council until last week and has been very active in several campaigns locally. The fight to keep services at Portland Hospital, for example, the reorganisation of maternity units in Dorset and the battle against the Portland incinerator. She's also spent time in jail. Last year she was convicted over an Insulate Britain protest where she broke a judge's order not to speak about her climate change concerns in court. She served 3.5 weeks in prison. Now, a week ago, Labour announced the selection of Lloyd Hatton to fight for the South Dorset seat at the general election. And at a launch event at a chip shop in Weymouth, a small crowd of protesters outside were chanting, "No ceasefire, no vote," saying, if you don't call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, we won't support you at the polls. Now, Giovanna Lewis was one of around a dozen people. She spoke on a loud hailer at the protest and told the demonstration she was resigning from the Labour Party.
As an avid campaigner for our brothers and sisters in Palestine, it's really great that we're here. It's really important that we're here. It's really important that we give Labour a very, very clear message. As you say, no ceasefire, no vote.
And would now focus fully on lobbying the new prospective parliamentary candidate for Labour in South Dorset, Lloyd Hatton, and she says, to immediately stop the horrendous bombing and slaughter of Palestinians. She says to immediately demand Israel open borders and allow safe passage of sufficient supplies of food, water, medicine and shelter to stop the spread of famine and disease. And she says to immediately stop sending weapons to Israel and immediately stop the continuing theft of Palestinian homes and land in the West Bank, saying, I believe nothing less is adequate, decent or humane.
OK. What did Labour have to say?
Well, the new candidate for South Dorset, Lloyd Hatton, we have messaged each other a couple of times about this, but he was unable to take part in an interview with me that we'd arranged for Friday. He did reply to the Dorset Palestinian Solidarity campaign by letter telling them, like you, I'm appalled by the appalling loss of life and want to see an end to violence in the region. He said, as you will have likely seen, Shadow Foreign Secretary David Lammy has called on the government to convene an emergency UN Security Council meeting to demand a ceasefire. And he said, I support these calls wholeheartedly. But because he stopped short of himself calling for an immediate ceasefire, some Labour supporters, including Councillor Lewis, have said they won't support him unless he does demand an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, Steve.
OK. And from Portland Town Council then to the UN, because there was this vote that was passed sort of wee small hours of Tuesday morning. Just remind us of that motion.
Yes, made possible because it was not vetoed by the United States, which did veto the last call for a ceasefire at the UN Security Council. It was called for this immediate ceasefire, the first time they've called for it after more than 5 months of the Israeli-Hamas conflict began. 14 council members, including the UK, backed the call, which also demands the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages held by Hamas. A decision by the United States to say not to block the motion, as it previously had done, allowed this resolution to pass, Resolution 2627. Now, after the vote, Israel cancelled upcoming meetings between an Israeli delegation and US officials in Washington, and sadly, fighting has continued in Gaza since that resolution was passed on Tuesday. For the first time, the RAF has dropped food supplies into the Gaza Strip. Labour's Shadow Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, gave his reaction to that UN Security Council resolution in a post on X or Twitter.
The UN Security Council's call for an immediate ceasefire, the immediate release of all hostages, and full humanitarian access in Gaza is vital. It must now be a turning point. The resolution must be implemented in full, and the UK government must play its part in applying diplomatic pressure to make it happen.
David Lammy, Labour's Shadow Foreign Secretary. Ending that report from our Dorset political reporter Tristan Pascoe.